Hello everybody. It is Jackie with Pocket of Preschool, and I'm coming to you today to show you 9 3D art activities. So, do you do art in your classroom? If so, you are gonna love all of these 3D art activities. So we're gonna jump right in. And again, I have 9. We have some with cardboard, some with pipe cleaners, some with noodles, some with lids, some with just paper, a whole bunch of different things. And I'm gonna teach you some little tricks to help you guys make 3D art easier and less stressful in the classroom. So my first one is the one you can kind of see hanging up here. So these are super simple. They are just like a 3D kind of paper fold and like manipulate activity. I know some teachers use these when you talk about different kinds of lines, if they're bumpy, if they're straight, if they're curvy, if they're horizontal, if they're vertical. Obviously, if you're teaching littles, it's gonna be a lot simpler. But I love it because it's super easy to prep. So you can just grab some, like literally just cut some strips. If you have extra strips of paper from prepping activities too, that works just as well. I do like to do it on black cardstock, just so it's a little bit heavier to hold up. And basically all they do is they are gonna grab a strip of paper and they can twist it. They can fold it. Maybe they wanna fold it in half. And obviously depending on how they fold it, it's gonna depend on kind of their fine motor ability, right? So for a lot of kids, especially if you have a pre-K class or a 3-year-old class, you're gonna wanna wait to do this activity until the spring because they're not gonna have those fine motor skills and the problem-solving skills to make it stick to the paper. Obviously, like if they do a loop, it's super simple, right? They just glue both ends and kind of stick it on. So depending on how old your kiddos are and what point of the year it is, it'll depend on how sophisticated your 3D art is. I always tell them they need to fold 2 little feet so that way they have something to stick it on. So like if they have this piece and they just kind of folded it and they can't stick it, I always say bend it a little bit and make a little foot. So that way they can stick the foot to the paper. And again, you can teach them super simple folding techniques. They can just like bend it back and forth, kind of like an accordion or a zigzag. They can do hills. If you're doing roller coasters or ramps, simple machines, this one's really fun because you can do a whole bunch of ramps and kind of add that in for art. Again, just super, super simple fold and basically just like a 3D fun paper art activity. So this is the first one. And again, you're just gonna need paper strips and I like black cardstock just so the color pops really, really well. So that's number 1. All right. Number 2 are cardboard donuts. So these are super fun. These are also great to like make, and then you can use them in your dramatic play center as props. So to prep them, all you're gonna need is cardboard, and you're gonna need to cut circles with holes in them. But keep the holes so you can have like the donut holes, so they can have the whole donut or they can make donut holes. I typically have mine pre-cut for my 3, 4, and 5-year-olds because cardboard's just too hard to cut for them. But if you have older kids, that works. They could probably cut if it's thinner cardboard. And then instead of having all the sprinkles kind of on there, because this is what it'll look like, what I do is I cut these foam papers. So they're just like this little foam paper. I have like a big kind of scrap pile of it that I just kind of keep. And then I cut it into little strips so that way they can develop, oh my gosh, they can develop those scissor skills and just cut little itty bitty sprinkles. Because what do little kids like to cut? Tiny itty bitty things. So they can cut a whole bunch of little pieces and then they can glue them on. And, oh, the icing. So I grab my paint from the easel. Grab that, and then they just take this, and then they would paint it on, and then if you have them put the sprinkles on when it's wet, it'll stick. You won't even need any glue. See how they stick? And we didn't even use glue. So they just put the foam sprinkles in when they're wet, and then you have some wonderful, fun 3D donuts. And again, you can keep these and use these in your pretend center for donuts if you have like a snack shop or a sweet shop or bakery, or maybe you just want to have some donuts. So these are really, really fun. So again, 3D cardboard donuts, really, really fun. So grab those. That's number 2. Number 3 are these 3D cardboard sculptures. So when I get boxes, because we all know everybody probably has a ton of Amazon boxes. If not, you can go down to go to Aldi's or something and grab some boxes. But just grab a whole bunch of different make bases for them, and they don't have to be the same. They can all be kind of a little bit different. These are like the flaps usually is what I grab these for. And then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a whole bunch of cut up cardboard, all different. Here, I'm gonna dump this out on here. Hold on. All different sizes and different shapes. Oh, and then cut up some cardboard tubes too. And you can put those on there. And if you need also something for your art shelf that's kind of new and different, put these in a tub and put cardboard scraps in your art center. It's a really fun thing to do. And if it's thin cardboard, they'll be able to kind of cut it a little bit, like this one's a little bit thinner. So they could cut it if they wanted. Now, it depends on, again, how strong their scissor skills are. But even if they are 3, they can glue it on. Now, I know you're thinking, I don't want to hand my kids a glue bottle because it's going to be a hot mess express. Okay, no worries. I got you. This is my trick. So I haven't used these for about a week. So when I taught preschool and pre-K, so I always had a multi-age classroom, so I had a mixture of 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. I would have glue tubs. And these are just those little salad bar container or to-go container. And it has glue in it. So what you do is you take a thing of glue and you dump it. You dump it in. Super, super easy, especially if you have some that are kind of towards the end. Just dump them out. And then you have some glue. And then that's a lot actually. You probably don't need that much, but I would just take a couple paintbrushes and I literally have them in. And then you can literally have them on your art shelf. I usually have them on a tray or something. But then what students can do is, if this is their cardboard, what they do is they can wipe it off and then they could put the glue on there, or they could glue on the piece and then they could stick it on. And maybe they're making a tower. And do you see how this isn't that messy? And I know you're thinking it's gonna ruin the paintbrushes. Probably. But you are just gonna find some paintbrushes that are gonna be your glue paintbrushes, and they are just going to be for your glue. They're not gonna be used with paint because they're gonna get gross, and that's okay, because they're gonna be your glue brushes. Okay? So, and again, they can make ramps, they can make them sideways, they can do whatever they want. And then again, use your easel paint and they can then paint them either when they're dry or when they're wet, kind of up to you or whatever your students want to do. But yeah, see, they can make some really fun 3D kind of cardboard structures, or maybe you want to call them buildings, whatever you want to call them. But again, oh, and then what you do with these at the end of the day is I literally take these, and I have a tub in my sink that would be kind of like a basket like this, but there wouldn't be holes on the side. I would take my glue brushes at the end of the day, put them in there. I would let them soak overnight. I would put the lid on, put this on the shelf. This at night would get soaked. And then in the morning, I take the glue brushes and I would put them back in, and they would have a little bit of water on them, and that's fine because it would just kind of moisten up the glue, and we would be ready to go. Now, if it's a Monday and this is your glue, it's kind of a little bit stuck. It's still okay because these are probably, I haven't used these glue tubs in a week. if they ever get a little bit sticky, just add a little bit of water, and then you can always add more glue to them. This one's gone, but it's super, super simple. And it's, again, it's great for 3-year-olds too. If you want them to do a bunch of gluing and you don't want them to use these. But these are actually really great to use for fine motor, and it's okay if there's big puddles of glue on like your cardboard structures, totally fine. But you can also have them use a little glue bowl. And is there gonna be tissue paper in there? Yes. Is it gonna be a little bit colored sometimes? Yes, it's fine. It's just glue. Because they're just making all these amazing little things, and it's okay if the glue isn't perfect. If it gets nasty, literally, like, I would take it, dump it in the trash can, and not wash the container and start over. It's fine. Everything is fine. So that's another one we can do. So cardboard structures. This one's fun. So these are just a 3D noodle collage. So you're gonna take some cardboard, you're gonna cut up some pieces. Again, it's really fun if they're all a little bit different. So that way maybe they want a small one. Maybe they want a big one. They can do whatever they want. And then I actually had these noodles colored from a sensory table I did. So I literally put some in a bowl. I'm gonna do a small one for you guys. So again, you can use these so they can put the glue on. And then what they would do is stick the noodles in the glue. Now, are they gonna do this? Yes, they are. Are they gonna kind of drop it in? Yes, they are. Are they gonna put more glue on the top? And the glue's gonna be kind of blumpy and goopy and a hot mess a little bit? Yes, that's why it's art. It's amazing. And they're gonna get glue on themselves, and it's okay. Some kids may not like having glue on their fingers. And so you can have a sponge on the side for them so they can kind of like wipe their fingers off so they're not washing their hands every couple minutes. And they can cover it, or they can not cover it, up to them. But a really fun, super simple noodle collage. And again, I think when we think of art, I think we always think of things that are like gigantic and huge, kind of like these big gigantic things. You can make itty bitty 3D art sculpture collages. It doesn't always have to be an entire page. It can be tiny and amazing, because as a parent or a family member, I will probably more likely keep this as a little trinket that my kid made from preschool or pre-K or kinder, rather than me keeping a giant noodle collage. That'll probably eventually go in the trash. It's pretty solid, because I mean, you can imagine how much glue they use. But yeah, so it's super cute, super fun, super simple. And again, we're using also like less materials. And I think it's less overwhelming for kids too, if they don't have as big of a space that they have to cover. And it's also great fine motor as they're putting on all of those little noodles. Okay, this one's really fun. You ready? So it's a train, okay? Or tell me in the comments, do you think this is a train or like a whole bunch of cars in traffic? So I'm going for a train. Do you kind of see it? So it can be whatever you want it to be, right? Because that's why it's art. So for this one, let me put my art paint back. Okay. So for this one, here is my tray of materials that I would have out. So I have a whole bunch of cardboard egg containers. Now you do have to trim them a little bit so they're flat, so you have to trim the kind of the inside pointy things. So that way they're kind of flat. And then the tops of the egg carton, I just kind of cut up into pieces too, because they may want to use those. And then again, I have some flat cardboard, Amazon, for my base. And then these are just some noodles that I had dyed for a sensory bin. So don't ever throw away like any extra noodles that you don't use for a sensory bin, because they're great to use in art. So I put a little bit, so it was these wagon wheels, and then, or I call them wagon wheel pasta, and then put black paint, shake, 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 and let it dry, and then you have a whole bunch, as they roll on the ground, of little wheels. And again, these are ones I just happen not to use. And then for this one, we're also gonna use paint sticks, which are just like a temper paint. It's almost like a glue stick, but they're paint. So what they're gonna do, I'm gonna use this one since I've already kind of made this one a mess. So kind of show you what we're gonna do. So we're gonna pretend like that's not on there. So they can color the grass green, maybe it's water, but look how awesome and smooth and easy. I also love these because they dry super, super fast. So we have that. And then if you can see it on there, there's a train track so they can draw. And they roll up just like a glue stick. So they can draw their train track on here. Okay. And they put the lid back on. And then now they get to do the train. So they could take these and then they color them. And then they put these on here. And then they can either use this glue or they can use the glue bucket. And they can put the glue on there. We're gonna pretend like I colored this one. And then it just sticks. And then if they need more glue, they can put some more on there. And then for the wheels, they can just take their wheels and stick them on. And then for this one, they use kind of like the end of the milk carton or the corner for the engine. And then we have the rest of the car. I know a lot of people do the 3D robots. But I was like, why? Let's do something different. Everybody does 3D cardboard robots. So why not do a 3D train? Again, you can also say it's a car because it kind of does look like a car. So you could have like a 3D car or bus, or maybe you want trucks, whatever you want it to be. Maybe it's just a 3D transportation sculpture. It could be that too. Again, you do what you want in your classroom because you're the boss in your classroom. It's the best. Okay, I lost the lid to this. Oop, here it is. I found it. And then these are great. You can get these on Amazon, Target. They're all about the same. And they're great. Just make sure the lid's on and they're great. And they glide on so smooth and they're so easy and they dry really fast. So they're perfect for coloring cardboard. So our 3D cardboard sculptures. Or again, trains, you could do planes, you could do any kind of transportation, any kind of vehicle. Okay, so my last 3D cardboard project is these houses. So I thought these would be really fun to do during back to school. So you're gonna need some small boxes. So I do HB Instant Ink. That's what these boxes are. But if you have a whole bunch of small boxes, just kind of like collect them from your shopping trips, or maybe go to Aldi's, or you can, I know you can buy small cardboard boxes, but again, if you get HB Instant Ink, or maybe just check the recycling bins at your school for some little boxes, or you can ask families to send some in, because it'd be really fun if all the boxes were a little bit different sizes and you could have like a little village. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna color the box, super simple, with the paint sticks. And I love this because it's like a one-day activity. So they color the box and then they glue the shapes on. So I have all of these like foam shapes. These aren't the ones with stickers. So they're gonna have to use the glue brushes, or they could use the bottle the bottle glue. But again, I love glue brushes. And then I cut a whole bunch of triangles, all different kind of sizes of triangles from my foam paper pile of scraps. So we have some roofs. This person only put a roof on one side, and that's okay. But again, wouldn't it be so fun is if you had a whole bunch of boxes of a little bit different sizes, and then you could have a kiddo, you can make it like a big piece of cardboard, and they can make like the little like road or like grass, and then you could have like a 3D like town or community with all your structures. Wouldn't that be so fun? Or they could make their house or their apartment, wherever they live. It'd be really fun for like a back to school or family unit, or if you're doing maps at the end of the year, that would be really fun. Or you're like learning about structures, but like some of them are like, some of the triangles are big, some are small. So again, we're exploring sizes and shapes, and they're comparing colors, and maybe they want windows, maybe they want circles, whatever they want to do. And then they can build their own little house. Again, these are just those HB Instant Ink boxes, but if you guys like to shop like I do, you'll get a whole bunch of little trinket boxes from either Amazon or Walmart, or you can also use food container boxes too, because these will draw on all of them. It'll be great. So make some 3D houses, and you can have a 3D cardboard community for your classroom. It'd be really fun is if you take these and you could put them in the block center and they could have these in the block center after they make these. Obviously, you need to make sure everything's glued on really well, but that would be fun if they could put these in the block center too. So fun. So many fun things you could do. All right, so those are our cardboard 3D art ideas. Now, I have some lid ideas for you. So I am a teacher who loves to collect lids. So at home, I keep all kinds of lids. So I keep marker lids. These are like from the paints, like these things. Here's like a highlighter lid, milk, Gatorade, different like food containers. Keep your Play-Doh lids. Those are really fun because I like these because they're colorful too. I love keeping lids for math and for sensory and all of the different things, but we're gonna make some art with it. So if you do dot day, this would be really fun for that. But basically what they're gonna do, again, grab some cardboard, cut some random kind of shapes. Again, they don't have to be huge. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna glue it on. Now, you can use this glue and they can glue it on. They can stack them. They can put them kind of side by side. And again, I like how they're different colors and different heights and different, look, that's so cool. So some are tall, some are short, some are small, some are big, all different. And then like this is one of those like squeezy lids, like from like applesauce packet. So that one's kind of bumpy. That one's really fun. And then this one, you can tell it didn't sit flat. It's kind of crooked. That's fun. So it's like probably like an expo marker lid or something. But isn't this so fun? Oh, this one's a little loose. We'll put a little bit of glue back on that one. So that's basically how they would do is take the glue and then they glue it on. And do you see how great glue brushes work? Like I'm gonna put one over here. I'll put another one on. Ooh. Well, if your students were building it, it would be on the table, right? But again, I love glue brushes, and you can tell the brushes are a hot mess, but it's okay because they're the glue paint brushes now. So you can make some dot, circle, lid art. And then how I display this in the classroom is usually like above the cubbies, kind of wherever the kids come in the morning. Like I kind of like lean these, like if I'm the wall, if this is the wall, I kind of like lean the art against the wall. If we do 3D art things, and just kind of like line them on top of the cubbies for a fun way to kind of display their art. So 3D lid dot day art. And again, ask families to save lids and bring them in. You can even, some years I had a container in the classroom, and I just put your lids here. And then kids would come in and bring like 3 lids or no lids or whatever works. So yeah, that's how we get all the lids. All right, so this one is with marker lids. So if it's spring and it's almost the end of the year and you're throwing away markers, one, don't throw them away because keep them and you can make them in a DIY liquid watercolor. But you want to keep all of your marker lids because look how beautiful these are. All different colors and shades. You have skinny ones, and you have, these are like some like artsy ones. But again, all different colored shades, sizes, all the things. But these are great for math, for the sensory table, for counting, for sorting, but it's also great for art. Now, they may make something like this, like a flower, or it may be more of an abstract painting. They may cover this whole thing with the marker lids. I've had kids do this too, where they like literally just cover every little inch of the cardboard. So like there's no cardboard showing, where it like kind of like a puzzle. So that's really fun too. But again, grab some cardboard. Again, it doesn't have to be huge. And they can use their glue paintbrushes. And I'll glue one on here. So I'll put one there. This one I made. Isn't it so pretty? And then they just stick it in there. Super simple and so fun. And again, this is great too for like Earth Day if you're talking about recycling, because we're reusing the marker lids and making them into something gorgeous. And again, to display them in the classroom, you can like lean them against the wall up by the cubbies or somewhere, and they can see all of the beautiful 3D art that they created. So fun. And again, lots of problem solving, lots of math, lots of spatial reasoning, tons and tons of fun, and tons of learning. So these, I kind of call them like alien or maybe planets sculptures. So I have two options for these. So one, I like to use like a little, what are these? Like, I use these for my counting shoes, like this tray. We don't need glue for this. But these are kind of like, what are they? Like a food tray that you get at the Dollar Tree. And these are just those those circle spheres from the Dollar Tree. I cut them in half. That way they're flat on the table. And then what they're gonna do is they are going to bend the pipe cleaners and they can put the beads in them. And they can twist them. They can make them into little curlicues. They can put beads on them or not put beads on them. And they will make their own little sculptures. So I have ones that are long, ones that are kind of a medium length, and ones that are short. And then I just have some beads in the middle so they can just put some beads on there. And then they just poke it in one side and they poke it in the other. Again, great fine motor, great problem solving, really fun abstract art. These would be really fun if you're doing like a space unit. You can call them like alien creatures and they could glue some eyeballs on them or something. That would be really fun. I don't know, they just look very like space alien-y to me. Now, if you don't have these, but you have a bunch of pool noodles, this is what you can do. So cut up a pool noodle with like a knife. Whoops, they bounce. And the students can stick the pipe cleaners in through, here, I'll do one here for you, hold on. Pick it up, whoops. So what they'll do is that it pokes right through too. Okay, and then they can like bend it or turn it, then kind of do whatever they want to it, and then stick it back in. And again, it's just some really fun 3D art. And you can do this a couple different ways. You can have them, you can let them take them home like this, or they can take them apart and then you can kind of re-straighten out the pipe cleaners so you can use them the next day. Because if you don't have a big budget or maybe you don't have a lot of pipe cleaners, you may need to reuse your art supplies, and that's okay. But yeah, so you can do them two ways. You can do them on styrofoam or you can do them on the pool noodles. I've seen people use them on the styrofoam cups, but I have never been successful with that because my styrofoam cups have always like broken or like cracked, and then the kids get super frustrated. But try pool noodles, because you can get like one pool noodle at the $1.25 store and you can get a bunch, or you can use these the spheres. Up to you. And if you want to too, you could always glue them on like a circle plate or a piece of cardboard when they're done, and then you'll have like a base for it, or they could paint it and then they could glue it on. So you have kind of a base for it. So we have those 3D structures. And then last but not least, so these are, where are they? Hold on. Let's see if I can get to it. Woo! Closer. Okay. So these are kind of like packing peanuts. They're great for the sensory table, but they're really fun to use with art. So this is like a plastic tub. I have this tray because it kind of sets on the top. So I would have this out there so that way, or maybe this, it depends. If you have these in the sensory table, you would want somewhere to have them display their art. So their art isn't in the tub because they are going to use toothpicks to poke and create all kinds of fun things with the shape. So they poke it through and then they kind of put them on the ends. So obviously you wouldn't want them to put those back in here, because if they do, when they go to grab one, they're gonna get poked with a toothpick and that would hurt. So have like a little space for them to put their little 3D sculptures. And again, so they don't get poked. You can also do shapes with these and kind of go to town. Again, just grab some toothpicks. You can use the plain ones, the colored ones, whatever you have. And then grab these little packing peanuts. These actually I got from Amazon. I'm sure you can get them from like any crafty place. But these are not chokeable because I think they like dissolve in water. So That way they're safe to have around kids and they're very fun to play in. So this would be fun to put in the sensory table, and you can do some 3D art in the sensory table. But again, make sure they're not putting their sculptures back in, because if they grab this, that would hurt. Woo! And they're a little delicate. But that's okay. They can just poke it and create again. So fun. So tell me in the comments what your favorite 3D art activity is, whether it's one that I showed you or maybe one that you want to try that I showed you, or maybe tell us in the comments what your favorite 3D art activity is that maybe I didn't share, because I love to hear what you guys do, and that way we can learn from each other. And then if you want to see more videos on art activities, I have a video on spring art activities, fall art activities, winter art activities. We have 3D art activities now. And then in a couple weeks, I'm going to do a video on summer art activities you can do, like summery themes. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed all of our 3D art projects, and I hope you guys have an amazing day or night. And all of the supplies, a lot of them are linked on my Amazon storefront if you want to grab any of them there. So yeah, so I will talk to you guys very soon.